All right, so if you ever sat in a Tesla when all the windows are closed in a rental, not even yours, and all of a sudden it's charging and then the car just shut off, it's you get into a moment of panic real quick. But I'm still here. So apparently the windows are still rolling down, even if the car shut off. So I'm lucky. So anyways, back to, I want to this title of the video might sound very a little too I guess too clickbaity, but I don't mean it to be, because that's exactly my plan. So here's my plan to make my first million in 2024 and beyond. I don't know what timeline it's going to take. It will probably take more, but I'm just telling you and sharing with you what I'm doing, and hopefully you learn something from it. So here's how I'm gonna do that. I've always wanted to make more money, not because I care that much about money. I think I really don't. The thing that I care most about is really freedom. And actually, ultimately, I want to make at least 5 to 10 million in the bank. That's kind of like my number when it comes to feeling really secure and like made it, if you will. That's where, I guess, at this point in my journey, where my line is. And I came back from a mastermind a few weeks ago with a bunch of entrepreneurs in the online space, business coaches, or online coaches, and everyone in that room was making more money, at least in revenue, more than I do. Most of them are in the multiple 6 figures, some of them are in the 7 figures, and we had a speaker in the room that did 150 million, I think, exit for a company. So I was probably the guy with a lot more live years experience. There was a bunch of 20 years old in that room, and I was like I'm in my mid 30s, right? So I had, I guess, as far as like, hey, where I should have been compared to those guys, I fell a little behind, but that's beside the point, and that's a story for another video. My point is, I've realized in that room that they're no different than me. So this came from, and this was coming from, at least for me, from a place of self-doubt and really confidence for myself. And for years, and up and even now, I still have this feeling that I've got to, quote unquote, earn my stripe before I could actually be successful. But as I was sitting in that room, and this is not a knock on who they are and what they've done, this is a call for me about what I know and what I'm capable of to rise higher for myself. I realized that it wasn't that they knew more than I do. They actually do. Like, the truth is, they do know more than I do. But it's not why they've been more successful than I am. They've just been at it for longer. And they made the leap sooner into entrepreneurship, into building wealth for themselves. And so I've made a decision that going forward, it's no longer about me gathering more information. It is about actually executing on the information that I already know and staying focused and having the courage to stay focused on that 1 or 2 things that I'm going to do. So, going forward, here's my plan to make $1 million in 2024 or beyond. There's no timeline attached to it, but I am going to do the input required to get there. So, the first thing I'm going to do is actually focusing on one vehicle only. So right now, I have a full-time role, and I have a bunch of clients on the side. They're all going well, but it takes all of my time. I work 6 days a week, and I have a young family with 2 young kids. They're the reason why I work so hard. But to get to $1 million and beyond, it's not, at least for me, it's not about working more hours any longer, because I've already worked all the hours that I have. It has to be more about focusing on the right things So 1 or 2 opportunities that will get me there with equity, and not just trading service or hours for dollars, right? So in my full-time role, I'm basically trading my hours for dollars. For my clients, I'm trading a service for the dollars, right? So in 2024, I'm going to focus on one opportunity and one opportunity alone that will actually get me to $1 million or beyond. And that's usually either my own business or a business within a business. Meaning that some of my clients, we're in discussion right now, they were discussing how I could build a subdivision or I guess an addition to the business or another side of the business within their business. And that can potentially make the whole business conglomerate more, or business different business units more valuable to the marketplace. And so right now, let's say the business is doing $2 million a year. If I add my service as what you might say building sales processes at a very high level, and we can take the business from 2 million to 5 millions, right? Just with what I do alone, I have effectively added $3 million to the valuation of the business. And if the business has 3 partners, right, they own 100% of the 2 million now. But I'm saying, hey, I'm going to be the third guy. I'm going to get us to 5 million. I want 1/3 of that, right? Then it's $1 million to me. I'm just giving you an example for that as a math. It's not how it's going to work out. But that's essentially my plan to get to $1 million, to make my first $1 million. And it's related to the previous video that I did about going on the skill set, and then also talking about what about the skill set, right? And I believe that if you have one skill set that have something to do with along the line of like leads, sales, marketing, client acquisition, you have $1 million opportunity for yourself. Either you start your own business in that space, or you implement the skill set that you've learned and earned into another business. And so my plan here is in 2024, and I'm leaning toward the option of building it within another business, because I also have learned about myself that I am much better off as a number 2 than a number 1 in a company. And Gary Vee talked about this concept years ago, and it really stuck with me, which is a lot of people are, and I saw some of this in the room, in the mastermind room as well. Not to go too much into details there because I don't think it's my business, but I've realized for my own self-awareness for myself, I've realized that I'm much better off as a second or a third person in a company than being the CEO, founder, owner of everything, purely out of ego. And my plan in 2024 is to plug myself into a business vehicle. Remember, we talked about the vehicle to get to execute your skill set and be good at your skill set. Is to plug yourself. My plan is to plug myself into a business. This is a marketing agency, and then apply my skills around sales and client acquisitions to take the company from where they are today to double or triple their revenue, and basically have a cut of that as my equity in the business. And when you think about it, entrepreneurship is all about equity, meaning I can start my own business and scale it to 7 figures on my own. That would take a lot more work on my end. I had to do everything by myself, and all of the learnings I'm gonna have to learn and realize on my own and by myself. Whereas with something like a business that already have traction with this marketing agency, the 2 founders or the 2 partners of the business are really good at 2 things. One, there's a really good director of marketing, meaning they are really good at delivery of the service. And then the other founder or the other partner is really good at the operations, which means that their back end, the client experience and the operation is really tight. What they haven't figured out yet, which is the gap that I'm gonna fill, is client acquisition, marketing, or not just marketing, but sales, right? And if we apply what I do and what I know about selling and about appointment setting to the business, I believe that I can take the business from 2 to 5, maybe even 10 million in the next 5 years. And even if I own 5 or 10% of the addition to the business, not the foundation, what they're already doing, that would be that's a million or two of the business. Okay, and that's just on that one business. We're not talking about maybe acquiring other businesses as the business grow. So that's my exact, I guess it's not exact, but that's my plan to make my first million. I think one of the most important thing, and why a lot of online entrepreneurs get stuck with, is they let their ego get the best of them, meaning they feel like because they watch all of these influencer videos about starting their own business, that they have to own the business for real freedom. I think real freedom comes from letting go of ego, like your ego and your need for approval, or your need to feel significance because you are the CEO of everything. And again, Gary Vee talks about this, and I love this concept when I first heard it, is having the humility and really the confidence and the pride to say, hey, I am not going to be good at everything, and I can make a much bigger pie by partnering with other people who are really, really good at what they do, and I'm going to focus on 1 or 2 areas of the business. And then we can grow, instead of me growing a $1 million business through just hustle and a lot of hard work and long hours and pain and suffering on my own, is if we have 3 people and we get a 10 million versus all 3 separately getting to 1 million each, the pie is much bigger, and you can get to your goals a lot more fun, a lot less lonely, and a lot less struggle. Of course, there's going to be challenges and learnings and difficulty along the way, but I think at this point in my life, given what I've learned, given what I've seen in the marketplace, and with consulting and working with a lot of businesses, I think it might be the most optimal way that a lot of people should be pursuing, or at least entertaining and thinking about. And now it's just going to be that. So I'll leave the video here. I guess my lesson, or what I'm sharing with you, and hopefully you will get some value out of this, and it's going to be related to what I talked about in the previous video, which is get really good at one thing. And that one thing could be like client experience, it could be operations, it could be any part of the business. Alex Sharfin said there's 5 functions of the business: lead generation, lead nurturing, conversion, I think like something around like delivery, and then upsells and referrals. You only have to get really, really good at 1 or 2 of those things, and then partner with other people who are really good at the others to have a significant business. So for me, it's client acquisition and I would say for me, it's client acquisition, which encompasses lead generation, lead nurturing, and conversion. Those 3 are the ones that I will own with this business. And then operation would be like, how do you tie everything together, right? In all those 5 functions. And it's like it's an overarching I guess skill set that applies to all 5 functions of the business. And then as you learn that, get really good at that, and instead of suffering on your own to claim and say to yourself that you have a 7-figure business, is to partner with the people. Of course, you're gonna need to know how to, like, you have to have trust in your partners. But I think that's a much more viable, much more fun, much less painful and less struggle way to I guess to get your first million. And then once you have that, I mean, here for me, I don't think this would be like, I'm not saying this would be my end all be all business, but I think once I partner with other people about this and get my first million, quote unquote, I can always start a second business. I probably will start my own business as my CEO, and then get to my 10 millions, which is my quote unquote ultimate goals down the track once I've done, you know, the exit and I've done the growth for the one business first. So that's my plan to get to my first million. If you have any questions, you want to talk more about this, let me know. Otherwise, subscribe for more, and comment below if you have any questions or you want to engage further, if you have any thoughts. If you think my plan is terrible, you have a better plan, please let me know. I'm here to learn as well. So comment below or subscribe for more. See you in the next videos.